What is going on, YouTube? Joe here with Culination Media, bringing you yet another Pokemon X and Y Wi-Fi battle today against a subscriber/follower on Twitter named Sira. At least I believe that's how you're supposed to pronounce that. If not, I am sorry. I always butcher people's names and I feel bad about it. But it's an inevitable thing. It's gonna happen all the time, so all I can do is say sorry about that. Before we get into the teams today, just want to remind you guys that as long as this video reaches that magical number of 50 likes, I will continue to bring you these lovely daily double Wi-Fi battles and all of that stuff. Fun stuff. Exciting stuff. You know the drill. On my opponent's side, they're bringing some very, very cool Pokemon, I have to say. Octillery, Mawile, Musharna, Aromatisse, Slowbro, and Pangoro. On my side, I've got Heracross, Executor, Houndoom, Crocodile, Dusknoir, and Ampharos. So, I'm not really sure what tier this was supposed to be. If it was just supposed to be UU. Because there are some UU Pokemon here, such as the Ampharos and the Mawile and stuff like that. Actually, Mawile isn't UU. I don't even know. I don't even know what's going on here. Maybe this was a mixed tier match. This match was quite a while ago, but it was a lot of fun. A lot of lower tiered Pokemon involved, and that's what I like. That is what I like indeed. So this actually turned out to be quite the long match because this person's defensive core is just very difficult to break. Now anyway, I'm going to start off with my beautiful shiny pink Heracross. You haven't seen him in a while, but he is Scarfed as usual. Scarfed, Moxie Cross and all that stuff. So he's going to switch out right at the beginning here. Switch that Pangoro out into the Mistress, which is this Aromatisse. And I'm going to go for the knockoff, predicting the switch, and that gets rid of the leftovers right off the bat, which is great for me. Absolutely fantastic. I know these things, I think they get Moonlight. And I'm pretty sure they also get Wish as well, so there's still plenty of ways for it to recover its health, so that's not the end of the world. But it is going to help me out in the long run. So, I should have predicted this, but looking at that team, there's a lot of things that work well in Trick Room, and there it is. Especially that Octillery. Octillery is absolutely deadly under Trick Room. It is just crazy powerful. So I'm going to get a Will-O-Wisp off here as they go for the Trick Room, and that is great, because I can get some residual damage off on this thing. I know that they can also carry Aromatherapy, but it's very limited in how many times it can be used. So it'll at least help me out a little bit. Goes for the Moonblast here, gets a crit. I was wondering why that did so much damage. And I went for the double Willow, predicting either the Switch or the Aromatherapy, but that did not work in my favor. So actually there was a Wish in there that I missed, so this thing is indeed carrying the Wish. And, yeah, so that is that. This is going to be long and painful to get rid of this thing because I don't really have anything that can deal, you know, some decent, super effective damage to it. Anyway, I'm going to go for the Pain Split as Musharna switches in. And a lot of these Trick Room Pokemon are just incredibly bulky. Octillery really isn't that bulky, and Mawile isn't very bulky either. But Musharna and Aromatisse and Slowbro, they're just so bulky. I'm going to go for the Shadow Sneak here, which is great because, you know, that's super effective and all that stuff, but that doesn't really do any damage whatsoever, almost nothing. So, there is the Baton Pass, and they're just kind of using it as a, you know, Volt Switch type thing that just doesn't deal damage. That way, in case I switched, he was going to be able to get the Switch priority, so that was not a bad play at all, and the the Trick Room ran out there, so that works out because this Pangoro will actually be faster now. It can hit me up with a Crunch as I go for the Willow to burn this thing, which is bad news, but he does have the Aromatisse, and I'm almost positive that Aromatherapy is going to be a thing coming up, and now that his Pangoro is burned, that's going to be a priority. I was pretty much just waiting for the parting shot here, and he actually is just going to withdraw, just straight up withdraw, which is fine. And in comes the Mistress, which is that Aromatisse again. And I really need to get this thing out of the way. Once I can get this off the field and get rid of the Wishes and the Aromatherapy and all that stuff, I'll be in just fantastic shape to start wearing down the rest of his team. But until I do that, I'm really not going to get anywhere. So I'm going to go into Ampharos here and Mega Evolve, which could be a little bit of a problem just because it makes me weak to Fairy. And I could have just, you know, held that off, but I decided I wanted the stat boost, so I'm just going to Mega Evolve and go for the Volt Switch. And because it's a Trick Room team, I should be faster because they should be running no Speed EVs and no Speed IVs either, so or very little. So I'm going to Volt Switch, and that deals some decent damage. And Trick Room is going to go up again as I bring in the Dusknoir. And this thing is still burned, so it's going to get a little bit more residual damage. The problem is that I can't really kill this thing with a Shadow Sneak, even from this range. You know, it only has about like 20% of his HP back, or left, rather. Maybe 25? I'm gonna try, I'm desperately gonna try, and go for the Shadow Sneak there, and the Aromatherapy is a thing. So now he's free to pretty much just wish up, because both Pangoro and the Aromatisse are now free of the burn, and that is a problem. So now I'm left with the choice of either trying to burn it again, or trying to kill it with a Shadow Sneak, you know, maybe hoping for a crit. But there is the wish. I haven't seen Protect on this thing, so that much is going for me. And I decided to just go for the Will-O-Wisp there, and it misses. So what I should have done is just spammed Shadow Sneak. It was a little bit of a mistake on my part, because now for sure he's going to get the wish off to something. And that is a big problem. So in comes the Musharna. And I was like, oh, I forgot that this thing even really lost any health. It did lose a little bit. And it's going to get burned, so that is going to force our opponent to bring in the Aromatisse and go for that Aromatherapy again, which is great. But the Musharna is going to be at full health, and that is a problem. If anything, actually I didn't even mention it, but it also has Synchronize, so now I am burned, so Shadow Sneak is going to be doing even less, which is also a problem. But the bright side to this is that the Aromatisse didn't get its own wish, so it's still at a very low HP range, which means I should be able to kill it, at least hopefully. Hopefully. So the Musharna is going to go for the Curse here, and I'm like, why Curse? This thing just does not really use physical attacks for the most part. I'm going to go for the Pain Split here, and that'll get me some HP back, or most of it actually, and deal some decent damage to this Musharna in the process, who will then get a little bit back from the leftovers. But the more I was thinking about it, I was like, oh, you know what? This thing has Baton Pass. He already showed me that, so he's going to try to pass this attack and defense boost off to something, and that is going to be a huge problem. And, you know, especially because it could be Pangoro, who is no longer burned. And there goes the Twisted Dimensions back to normal. So if he, I don't know, Curse is so deadly in the Trick Room, because it keeps lowering your speed. It pretty much just ensures that you're going to be faster than everything. And there's the Trick Room again, and I'm guessing that the Baton Pass is going to be coming up, passing it into something that I just don't want to see at all. Because it could pass into the Mawile as well, which would be very dangerous. But having said that, I'm going into my Executor here, and I really want to start setting up some Elite Seeds or just something. I want to get some residual damage on something. So there is the Baton Pass, as I thought, and in comes the Pangoro, and this thing has a few turns of Trick Room to just wreck face. And I am scared beyond belief. So what I'm going to do here is set up the substitutes before setting up the Elite Seed, in case he wanted to switch or go for the Baton Pass. So that is indeed what he goes for. And this is all just about, you know, getting rid of the Trick Room, basically. So there goes the substitute due to the crunch. I mean, my physical defense is pretty high, but, you know, that's besides the point. A +1 Pangoro, stab, crunch, there's no way that a substitute is surviving that. And I'm not even confident that my Executor will survive it, to be honest. Really, really afraid of this thing. I need to do something, and do something fast. So I do get up the Elite Seed, which is great, get some residual damage on this thing, like I said. Now I can go for the Protect, stall out yet another turn of residual damage and Trick Room as well. This is all about burning the Trick Room turn. That's just what it comes down to. I believe there's one more turn left on the table, if I remember correctly. Maybe two? I don't know if I'm counting right here. I don't even know what's going on. So I'm going to go into my Krookodile to lower his attack via the Intimidate and take the Crunch. I should get most of that health back due to the Elite Seed, but he predicts that, goes for the Hammer Arm, and that's just going to deal so much damage. He's going to have his speed fall further and take Rocky Helmet damage, like I said, but it's just, I was not expecting him to predict that. I guess it was just an obvious move, an obvious switch, and even if it wasn't, regardless, just props to him for a great prediction there. What I'm going to do here is pretty much just sack off this thing and go for the Stealth Rocks, because this should be the last turn of the Trick Room, unless it just passed last turn and I missed it, which is also a possibility because I miss things. I really just am not observant when I need to be sometimes, I swear. And so I get a little bit of health back due to the Elite Seed. Going to go for the Earthquake. Somehow I'm not dead. It's unfortunate that the Hammer Arm missed there, and the Earthquake's actually just going to finish off this thing, so that worked out well for me. The Trick Room is gone. It either dissipated this past turn or the turn before that. Like I said, completely missed the little notification on the screen. But I'm going to go for the knockoff here as the Tailmate comes in and knock off his safety goggles. Safety goggles, Slowbro, who's going to set up another Trick Room, and that is just craziness. Absolute craziness. He's going to go for the Scald, and that obviously is just going to finish me off, but Crocodile did his job. A little bit unfortunate, the hacks going on with the Pangoro missing the hammer arm. Still haven't got rid of that Aromatisse. That thing still is a problem, because it can just easily pass wishes to anything. Especially like Slowbro or something, because I'm pretty sure this is the match that I had that the person told me on Twitter that this was not a regenerator Slowbro, so I don't know. I faced so many Slowbros around the time that I had this match, I screwed them up in the previous recordings. But anyway, he's going to get his health back due to that slack off, and that is a bit unfortunate. I can't do a whole lot to this thing. I mean, even if he's not invested in his defense at all, Burn Shadow Sneak from a Dust Noir is not going to be doing that much to Slowbro. It's just what it is. And he's going to switch out into Octillery here. He's going to take a little bit of damage from the whatchamacallit Stealth Rocks and get burned as well, so that's extra residual damage. So I'm basically just trying to beat him at his own game here with Stall, so that's just, I don't know. It's kind of sort of working out okay for me at this point. But I feel like his team is better suited for this game. So especially he's got the Musharna and just all that stuff. All that stuff. In comes the Octillery, what was already in. It's just going to go for the Ice Beam. And that does some decent damage. It's going to show the Life Orb there, so I need to be aware of that. As I go for the Pain Split, get a little bit of health back. Octillery really doesn't have a huge HP stat, so there really wasn't that much HP to recover in the first place, to be honest. But he's going to be hurt by the burn damage as well, so this thing is already very much so worn down. And Dust Noir has just been taking hits left and right, despite being burned. It's survived a really long time in this match, and I'm very happy with it. Very, very happy. So in comes the Executor here, and he's actually going to withdraw his Octillery. And that is good for me, because in comes the Musharna, and this thing can't really do a whole lot to me. He's going to get hurt by the Stealth Rocks, and he's also going to get a little bit of Lefty's recovery, get some burn damage, and I'm pretty much free to start setting up, you know, substitutes, leech seeds, all that stuff. You want to curse, you want to set up Trick Room, any of that stuff, that is fine by me. Judging by the moves that I've seen on this thing, I'm really not afraid of it at this point. Really not afraid at all. There's his other move. It's going to be Moonlight. So we've seen Moonlight, Curse, Baton Pass, and Trick Room. So this thing does not even have an attacking move. It's just, you know, straight utility, defensive, that kind of thing. So I can just set up anything that I want pretty much. And because the Pangoro is dead, I don't have to worry about the Curse, Baton Pass too much. Other than maybe passing into them a while. But hopefully if he does do that, I will be behind a substitute. Because really, how is he going to break it without an attack? Honestly. I'm like tricking myself right here. So he goes for the Trick Room, and that is fine by me, like I said. More Lefty's recovery, more burn damage, more Leech Seed recovery. Just basically a repeat of what this entire match has been so far. And honestly, I'm so confident in my Executor. I was skeptical of it when I first bred it and all that stuff. But bringing it into Wi-Fi battles and bringing it onto BattleSpot and just watching it destroy the faces of some, you know, prominent higher-tiered Pokemon, just even in OU and stuff, it really is an underrated Pokemon. And I just have a lot of confidence in it. It just always is amazing for me. I don't know why. It just always works out. Anyway, go for the Giga Drain here as he switches in the Mistress, which is his Aromatisse. And I guess he's just foddering it off. He gets rid of the Leech Seed, and that helps him out. And he gets a free switch into whatever he wants to go into, which turns out to be the Mawile. And like I said, no burn on this thing, so that is a little bit of a problem. He's going to go for the Fire Fang, not going to Mega Evolve, because Mega Mawile is OU, I'm pretty sure. Don't play a lot of OU, but I'm pretty sure it is OU. So I'm going to go for the Leech Seed here. I'm pretty confident that Executor will be able to take a Fire Fang fairly nicely. So if he wants to go for that, or even Sucker Punch, you know, I'm not really afraid of it whatsoever. Cannot kill me, especially because I really haven't even had to activate my Harvest yet, and I've got the Citrus Berry, so I'm pretty much golden at this point, especially with that Aromatisse out of the way. So I'm going to go back into my Dust Noir to take an incoming physical attack, and I can take that kind of, sort of, okay. And with the burn damage and lefties, obviously I'm not going to last too much longer, but I do get some Leech Seed because I was able to set that up before getting out of there. But basically at this point, Dusknoir is just there kind of to be fodder and kind of to waste time. Really, there's no other reason for me to have it. He's going to withdraw though because he's afraid of that Will-O-Wisp and he knows it's coming. So he's going to switch into the Musharna, which is already burned, so it really doesn't have anything to fear. And I actually predicted that and went for the Fire Punch because even if he decided to not switch out, I would be able to get some damage off on this Musharna. But I'm burned, and it really just doesn't do anything whatsoever. It doesn't even do lefties damage, I don't think. So that is that. Maybe Willow was the better play, even with the chances of him switching being high. That being said, this Musharna is finally almost dead, but because of the burn that I have, I don't even think that I can kill it with a Shadow Sneak at this point. And he can very easily just go for a Moonlight, because look, it still survives somehow. This thing is so tanky, but he decides to go for the Trick Room. I guess he just figured that that was his better play at this point, and to have this Musharna go down to, you know, all the residual damage and that kind of stuff, and then have the Mawile come in and just try to, I don't know, level the playing field is what I was trying to say, but I could not speak the language correctly for whatever reason. I don't know, I've been recording so much today that my voice is just having issues, and my brain is having issues forming sentences, as you can tell by now. But I'm going to go for that Shadow Sneak because somehow we survived the burn damage, thanks to that Leftovers recovery, I suppose. But finally, the Musharna is out of the way, so we have no Musharna and no Aromatisse, so we are in a good position here. And this battle is indeed coming down to the wire here, coming down to the end. So in comes the Mawile, and I do have the Fire Punch and the Willow to threaten this thing with, but he is going to go first, obviously, and go for the Iron Head with that Trick Room up. There's no way I'm going to live that, and I believe this specific Dusknoir that I was using was especially defensive with a Calm Nature, so its physical defense wasn't nearly as good as its special defense. But that being said, I'm going to go into Executor here, and I take that Fire Fang very, very nicely. Very nicely. So I'm going to set up the Leech Seed, and there's not a whole lot that he can do about it. I'm going to get that recovery back, some more residual damage. There's no reason for me to bring in anything else at this point. Just absolutely no reason whatsoever. Just, you know, other than to get the Leech Seed up. So I did that. Now I'm going to switch out into the Ampharos. And yeah, I'm going to break the molds while he goes for the Iron Head, which will be a resisted hit. And that really doesn't do a whole lot of damage. And yeah, it's a good time for me. Very good time. Just, you know, burning that Trick Room away, just slowly. There it is. The Twisted Dimensions are going to return to normal here. Going to go for the Thunderbolts, and there's no way that Mawile is going to survive that. Mawile actually really isn't that bulky of a Pokemon. It's a little bit bulkier because of its typing and its Intimidate ability, but other than that, it doesn't really have, you know, crazy bulk or anything like that. It just has a lot of resistances. Gonna go for the Volt Switch here on this Tailmate that comes in, and that just, you know, destroys Slowbro. It really doesn't have great special defense. Most of its, you know, bulk is on the physical side, and that's a Mega Ampharos that we're talking about. So I'm going to go into Houndoom here to finish things off, because why not? Houndoom has not even gotten into the battle. And this is not a Mega Houndoom, obviously. It's a Focus Sash. And I'm going to be strange. Very strange to just go for the Hidden Power Grass to finish off the Octillery and finish off this wacky battle. Trick Room, you know, kind of, it wasn't even stall. It was just a Trick Room team against, if anything, I was stalling way more with Leech Seed and Will-O-Wisp, Pain Split, you know, Subseeding Harvest shenanigans than anything else. And Dusknoir and Executor won me this battle, pretty much, because most of my other Pokemon didn't even really get into the battle. Heracross didn't do anything except knockoff. Mega Ampharos was in for maybe like 2 or 3 turns. Crocodile was in for 3 turns, maybe. Houndoom was in for 1. So, Dusknoir and Executor, who knew that would have been a successful core, but it worked in this battle, and it was a lot of fun. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed the battle. I certainly did, and don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, because that will help out enormously. So, I will see you guys for the next battle, but until then, game on.